Hello, welcome to the Polytopia channel. Today we're going to be showing you an epic game between two highly skilled Vengir players. This epic back and forth game will keep you on your seats the entire time, and without further ado, let's get to it.
In the west, we have Chris Krakens, the co-leader of the Kraken's house, playing as white. And in the south, we have Meisterlampe. He's an Arctic Wolves player. He's playing as Lime. And we have some pretty generic Vengir spawns with the two guaranteed animals. None of them have good resources because it's Vengir. We're going to expect a warrior opening from both of them. But Chris Krakens could have a really good forge spot. Or white could have a really good forge spot down in the with those three mountains. So we'll see how that turns out.
One last thing to bring up is the interesting option for white here in the western corner of the map. Since they are right there at the corner, all they have to do is move one of their warriors over to the side in order to save them a couple of stars on a future turn to level up their capital. With their early game economy being really terrible, saving those couple of stars really could go a long way. So we'll see how these players decide to play things out. Let's begin. Both players choose to expand outwards, looking for their two starting villages. Unfortunately, Lime isn't able to find a second village to help boost his early game production and economy, and White saves his lighthouse for a future turn. Both picking up hunting to begin their economy run. This does lead to interesting tech tree choices for them further on. Either give them access to a stronger economy, or a potential option of archery in the future.
Yes, very strong unit for Vengir archers. They counter a lot of swordsmen. Lime does actually go for archers, by the way, so... Okay, so we see Lime trade their first swordsman outside of their original one, so they're planning to go on the offensive and take archery at the same turn.
Right over there, the first archer has been trained at the capital, ready to start applying some ranged pressure to White, forcing him to go on the defensive.
There's some crazy mine and marketplace at Forge.
Right. Yeah, Vengir...
See, I think every single one of those mountains has gold on it.
Possibly. Vengir does have a high metal spawn rate, so as soon as they can, even though they already have smithery, they do typically like to pick up climbing and then mining very early on to give themselves that boost. But oddly enough, the other secondary one is if they have enough organization to pick up farming, because they usually have quite a bit of farmland in their lands. It's just really hard to get initially.
Yes, the Vengir resources are very odd.
And look at that, with that... It is rich!
Lime gets a population ruin, allowing them to upgrade their capital. It doesn't look like they'll be able to get a giant still.
One other interesting thing with archery being picked up is all these swordsmen are now receiving a defensive bonus on the forests, while White decides to pick up climbing and is getting a defensive bonus on the mountains. So both of them do have a decent spot for their swordsmen to be very potent, not only on the offense, but defense as well.
And there come the forges. Those are going to be very useful if you look at White's position.
Absolutely.
That'll be a giant next turn.
Absolutely skyrocketing in his economy, going all the way up to 13 stars per turn for Vengir is actually looking pretty good by turn 9.
We're seeing a very good army from Lime, very formidable with all these archers. They counter the swordsman very well, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to last very long because these giants are going to come in.
And with that, immediately, White now has 2 giants on the board on turn 10, absolutely giving him another threat for Lime to deal with. However, archers are going to have a field day dancing around all of these giants. An interesting choice is made by White here to pick up a border growth instead of rushing out another giant, perhaps saving it for another turn, but also giving him better access and preventing Lime from having good roads in the future.
Or do you see, it looks like White is going to come up with an early city advantage. Because they've gotten to those cities in the east far quicker.
Lime is going to have a lot to catch up with because he's already behind in economy as well as city production. Going to have to be able to claw his way back in this 5 versus 6 city game. We'll see if Lime has any tricks up his sleeves in order to turn this around.
He's building up an army of riders, which countered the archers very well, but Lime gets that lighthouse. That means a giant's within reach for him now.
On turn 14 is where the first most exciting play of the game happens. Chopping a lot in order to afford roads, he rushes forward with a swordsman, kills another archer off with a rider in order to get a very secure siege on the capital. The only way for Lime to come back from this is in order to get a giant push. Luckily, he's able to secure the defense with a forge as well as another mine spot. But if that capital was captured, that would have been a very early end to this game.
It's another Lime City sieged. 2 more Lime Cities sieged. There's 3 giants within his borders. It's not looking great. He will manage to unsiege one of them, but only one.
Lime would have to require in order, at least 2 monuments in order to unsiege this. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen, and White is going to take another big lead into this game by taking a very important city, cutting off all of Lime cities away from his capital.
He takes trade right before the capture, which lets him get these incredible market spots. You don't see that a lot with Vengir.
In order to counter the aggression of the White Vengir, Lime is rushing into the middle and trying to cut off all of White's cities, and now making a double siege themselves, one of which also with a giant. However, all of Lime's cities are completely cut off from the capital.
So if you look at the city of Arbup, there's a 40 health giant. It's level 1. It doesn't look like there's any hope at all of Chris unsieging this, but you'll see he's still upgrading it. Seems like he would just want to cut off all the resources there and make it a waste, but he knows he's counted all the population. Takes 2 monuments, population, and then that forge over there seals the deal, and he gets a giant from level 1.
Oh man.
36 stars per turn.
36 stars with the power of both smithery and trade. The White Vengir is able to skyrocket his economy, going from the Deadlands to one of the wealthiest Polytopians on the square.
Very dramatic.
With one more trading post and leveling up the cities, he jumps up from 36 to 44 stars per turn on turn 18. At this point, he's going to be able to afford anything that he's going to be requiring. Plus, he's getting another siege on the Lime capital. But this game's not over yet.
His opponent only has 12 stars per turn. So, barely a quarter.
By the end of turn 18, Lime is doing a counter siege in order to take their original first city back. In response, White's Vengir will be leveling up his cities and actually applying pressure to, once again, multiple Lime cities, sieging the capital, sieging the outer city of Discar. He is able to apply even more pressure to make sure that Lime does not have enough breathing room in order to come back into this game.
For not the first time this game, Lime barely manages to save his capital from sieging.
That's another important siege happening.
Yeah, we're seeing 2 more sieges with giants, and we're about to see another siege on the capital.
A third siege in a row on the capital. Is he going to be ignoring the city of this one?
It doesn't look like he has any options to unsiege it. It already has so many giants, he's used all his monuments, and there's just no room to place anything. He takes free spirit, so he's setting up for knights, presumably. And Lime is going to capture that city with the insane, and look, Gray's stars per turn dropped to only 22 from all the horrible loss of connections, so...
Thanks to the power of roads, ends up being able to level up the capital all the way, so instead of having to defend it to unsiege it back, ends up just training another giant. This time, I don't think that the White Vengir is going to be able to apply a 4th siege in a row. And in fact, it's actually Lime that's applying pressure and has cut off all of White cities through the center of the map. Bop-a-da-bop. Bop-a-da-bop. Bop.
White is working to take their city back so they can restore their economy. Look at all those markets which used to be producing so many stars, but now they're run down and abandoned.
Absolutely. If you take a look at the economy, he went from 44 stars down to 22 just from taking a single city. That absolutely devastated White's plans in order to run away with this game. So he will be securing the city back, but this does give Lime a little bit of a chance in order to make a comeback.
He takes chivalry, and he captures back his city. Goes up to 43 stars per turn, just from capturing that city. 21 stars in 1 turn.
But White is not done yet. Setting a siege, blocking the backup with the archer, and trying to set up a low HP rider line to prevent Lime from getting back to his city. He's wanting to apply even more pressure before he's ready to secure the game with his knights. In a last-ditch effort in order to save his own city and to stop the constant sieges, Lime uses his archers to kill off a couple of riders, secures with roads, throwing the swordsman forward, and promotes to a veteran in order to protect that city from future attacks.
Lime is still holding out hope, but with this turn, White is going to crush all his dreams. He sieges 3 cities, one of which is unbreakable, and it's the first appearance of his knights. And faced with this crushing pressure, Lime resigns.
The only city that could have been saved is Hieraxis, right over here. In part, and Thahirs is completely unsalvageable at this point, but also with an onslaught of 4 knights and 2 more swordsmen and a whole bunch of giants still at White's disposal, Lime resigns.
The game already started off slightly disadvantageous due to Chris being able to upgrade a second city with hunting. Then I overcommitted with archery and I didn't really get any damage done and fell behind both economically and exploration wise. After he got the first giants, he was playing the entire game with an economy, military and technology advantage. I ended up getting a lot of good trades with my units as I kept the time pressure up. Chris was running out of time almost every turn. It took him a while, but after 23 turns, he finally got me in the end.
So, why do I think I won in the game versus Meister? Well, early game I have access to these great mines, which allow me to get excellent forage spots and early giants. So I have this giant lead. But then I also get this city lead towards the mid game, and that's really helpful for me, producing more units, but also keeping Meister on the back foot by kind of surrounding his cities and forcing him to defend from multiple angles. But what it really comes down to, and I think what my biggest strategy was, in chess, when you have a winning position, one of the ways to convert it is to trade down all of your pieces until all you're left with are your pawns, and then you can advance them and win that way. And that's kind of how I think I really won this game, and my strategy going into it. We had this really messy mid-game, but I knew that once the dust settled, if I was able to hold on to my cities, if I was able to eventually consolidate, that I would win.
Thank you all for watching. Feel free to join us in the next Polysseum. Links in the description. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us a lot. Join our Discord and other social media. The links are also in the description. If you'd like to see more of the Polysseum content, click the Hoodrick video on the screen. Take care, and see you on the next one.